Hello and welcome to the third video in our database project. We're going to be working on today is the Connect dialog box. This is the box that gets all the information needed to connect to the database. So let's go ahead and go to our project. Let's create a new class. And this is going to be Connect dialog. So Connect dialog is going to extend JDialog. And it's going to implement action listener. And the action listener is going to be for the buttons. Okay, now we're going to need some labels and some text fields. It's going to be a few of them. First one is going to be the host name. And so each of these labels is going to have a text field. So let's add those. And we're going to change this import to import all of Swing. Next, we're going to create the label for the port. Now the table. And then the username and password. And for the password, instead of a regular text field, we're going to use a password text field. Okay, and that's all the information for our form. Now we're going to create the buttons. So we have an OK button and a cancel button. We also need a Boolean variable. We're going to call this isCanceled, and we're going to set it to true. And so this Boolean variable will keep track if the user has pressed OK or not. So once the user does press OK, we'll set this false. And we use that as part of the main class. We also need a properties object. And so we're creating this properties object so that we can pass one object with all the information of the database. Now let's create the constructor. We're first going to have a JFrame called owner, and then a string called title, and properties P. And we'll call the super constructor with this information. So owner and title and true. Set some size and location variables. And set our properties in this class to the one we passed in. Next, we're going to work with the buttons. We're going to set some preferred sizes. So set preferred size equals new dimension. And do 75 by 25. And then we're going to add the action listener. And we're going to set it to this. We're going to do the same thing for the cancel button. Next, we're going to add everything to the Connect dialog box, but before we do that, we're going to create two panels. One's going to be a grid layout that's going to have all the text fields and the labels, and then the other one is going to have the buttons. The reason why we're going to do this is because we don't want the buttons to be in the same grid layout. So let's create those two panels. Call it cPanel, and the second one cPanel 2. Okay, we're going to set the layout of the first panel. And there's going to be a new grid layout. We'll make that 5 by 2. Okay, now let's add all of the text fields and the labels. And copy this a few times. And then we'll add the buttons to the second cPanel. So add the OK button and the cancel button. And finally add it to this. So first we'll add the cPanel. And we'll use a border layout to add it to the north. And we'll add the second cPanel to the south. Let's work on the action perform method next. And so for this, we're going to check the source of the action performed. So e.getSource. And if that is equal to the OK button, we're going to set is canceled to false. And the only other button that can be pressed is cancel. So either way, we are going to dispose of this dialog box. To test this, we need to add it to our main class. So let's add it here after the frame. So connect dialog is equal to new connect dialog. We're going to pass it this frame, a title, and a property. Let's create that property also. And so after this dialog box is closed, we're going to see if is canceled is still equal to true. So if dialog is canceled, we're going to exit. So system.exit 0. We also need to set the dialog box to visible. So dialog.setVisible equals to true to run it. So here's our form. We press the OK button, and here's our database. Let's try that again. If we press the cancel button, nothing happens. Okay. And so in the next video, we'll create the connector so that we can actually connect to the database.